Thank you very much, everybody, and welcome. Yes, we also have a special guest. So Daniela stepped in very kindly at the last minute. Nadia got caught with the train strikes on Monday. So thank you very much, Daniela. And also Björn and Anja, really welcomed, and thank you for joining me here. The topic of sustainability in advertising has been gaining increasing prominence in the past couple of years. Consumers are ever more focused on environmental and social issues, leading to the rise of the so-called eco-friendly consumer. A recent global consumer insights study by PwC found that 8 out of 10 consumers said they would pay up to 5% more for sustainably produced goods. And in the same study, 81% of people surveyed expected companies to be environmentally conscious in their advertising and communications. So this is something that is growing in importance and something that we feel we should be bringing and talking about and helping the industry to progress. The spotlight is on advertisers, agencies, media owners and their partners to work together and step up and communicate about sustainability. Along with external factors such as soaring energy bills affecting everyday life, it's no surprise that channels which operate very visibly in the public space, such as out of home, have come under intense scrutiny. VIOOH is an SSP working in programmatic digital out of home, and we're pleased that we were the first to market to recently announce a carbon emissions calculation, working in conjunction with Sidera, who are a supporter of AdNet Zero. For 2022, our carbon emissions hit 18%, the open benchmark for the open web. So that is 18% versus digital display, video, etc. And the environmentally and brand safe, considerate nature of the out-of-home channel shines through in many attributes, such as being a broadcast medium, reaching a one-to-many audience, as well as its easy integration in multi-channel campaigns. Media planning today, of course, though, is not just about one channel. And it's dominated by digital media. And that's why I'm delighted to be joined by my fellow esteemed panelists. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Happy to. So my name is Anja. I work at the Trade Desk and I pretty much consult clients on how to buy media in the open internet most efficiently.
Hi, I'm Björn. I'm a Director of Digital and Programmatic at WallDecaux. I'm a digital out-of-home media owner. And happy to join you.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is not Nadia. I'm Daniela. I'm Chief Growth Officer within GroupM and responsible for business development, data and MarTech.
Great. Thank you, everybody, and welcome. So we mentioned sustainability. It's a very broad subject, and it can cover everything from environmental impact, energy efficiency, and social responsibility. So maybe we can start off with each of you telling me some areas about sustainability in your company that you're currently focused on. Björn, let's start with you.
Mids first today?
Yes.
First time?
Well, this might be the only time.
Yes, okay, I will start. So regarding ESG, I would say that we are working in two main working fields. The first one is that we are working together with other media owners out of the digital out-of-home industry, and together with our two official jigs, it is FRV and IDO, and there we are working together to define and to compare and to find a solution for measurement of ESG, mostly carbon emission, to be honest. But to find an overall sweet spot where we all agree, and we could do that together with agencies, with Nadia, not with Daniela, for example, together with our competitors, Ströer, Goldbach, and so on. And therefore we try to define that. That's one big field, and the other field, of course, is what we are doing as a media owner for ourselves, right? So first of all is ESG for us, and it's not the same for a lot of companies. It's not only carbon emission, right? It's like reducing the natural resources that we are using, water, for us, steel, metal, and so on and so on. So what we are doing is, I'll give you some examples. So first of all, of course, we switched, I think like 3 years ago already, to 100% green energy. Yeah. Second is, in Germany, we have around about 500 service cars. So of course we are going step by steps through this service car pool and electrifying those all over Germany. So again, and on top of that, of course, we have an overall agreement that 15% of our variable salary is based on ESG targets globally.
Interesting.
Yeah, and of course we are trying to reduce our normal digital sending of requests. When we deliver ads, it's one point as well. Give you another example. We are working for try to optimize the sensors for our brightness in our screens to use less electricity. We are trying to reduce the steel frame that is around the screens, for example. Give you another example for when you arrive at Charles de Gaulle in Paris, they are standing like old advertising columns that has been used like 20 years before, completely reused and refreshed.
Great.
So a lot of things, and not only digital based, to be honest.
Fantastic, thank you. Daniela, from the agency perspective?
Yeah, from our perspective, we are focusing on different stakeholder groups, I would say. So one of our very important stakeholder group are our clients, of course. Then partners, because we have to drive sustainability together with our partners, together with publishers like you. And our employees, because sustainability for us is not only our responsibility against clients, partners externally, but also internally. So focusing on sustainability means for us focusing on environmental sustainability. Diversity, inclusion and belonging is a very important topic for us, also externally, but also internally. Responsible journalism is one very important point we have set on our agenda for the next years. Data ethics coming up, KI and everything around KI makes data ethics and the responsibility, what data to use, how to use data, very important. And of course, quality and brand suitability is an important topic for us also in the future, but in the past it was very relevant already. Talking about these different angles around sustainability, it's important for us. So in our company, it's a management topic. We have set up a team around Nadja. So Nadja is leading a small team, and they are responsible for driving our sustainable agenda as a group, but also setting up education programs for the whole company, because we can't solve the problems or the challenges we will have in the future, and we are focusing on as a team within a company. We have to do it as a company. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's very important to educate, to train everybody within our company. So to train our client leads being able to talk sustainable language, to consult our clients. And of course, we have to change a lot of things within our company also. So talking about company cars, we have to switch company cars. We have to find different solutions, not to focus on too much, cars and big cars, for example. And there's a long way and a lot of things to do for us in the future, which is not possible to do it as a small team. We have to do it as a management and as a whole company.
Great, thank you. Anja.
Yeah, happy to share the perspective from the traders, and I think a lot of these points will be mentioned before, but you said it before that sustainability is only like one topic into like a broader mission towards what we call ethical excellence. I think every country has like its own name for it. But within that, we consider inclusion and belonging as well, but also social value. You mentioned ethics before, industry standards and commitments, responsibility, social responsibility as well, and sustainability. So it's very, very broad. And in the sense of going deeper into sustainability, I think there's two aspects to it. And we consider the internal view of things. So it's what the at Net Zero calls bringing your own house in order. So what every company can do themselves to be more sustainable. And there's so many examples that you also mentioned. It's concerning our employees, our office locations, our energy lighting in the offices, our suppliers, and every snack we have in the office is without palm oil, and so many, small examples that we can mention. But I think that's only like one part of the equation, what the traders does as a company themselves, but then as a media buying platform and working with our brands and agencies, and also obviously on the publisher and data side, I think there's so much more we can do also to enable clients to reduce their carbon emission in programmatic advertising. And I think that's exactly where I think we can shed more light into today, exactly what can be done already.
Great, thank you. Before I carry on, I did forget to mention there is Slido. If we have time at the end, the code, if you have questions, is 41. So 1111. So slido.com 1111 if you want to ask questions at the end, if we have time. So moving on, because we do have a lot to get through, and this topic is very fascinating, I think. We know that consumers, as we mentioned, increasingly are wanting to buy sustainably when they're looking at brands, but there seems to be a gap in terms of this actually translating into action. We know, for instance, that the most sustainable media plan is not going to be the cheapest. So what would you say about the sort of topic of cost being a barrier to entry, and what can we in the industry do about this? Daniela.
So I think behind me you can see like a few numbers. We brought a study from Kantar showing that for almost all consumers, a sustainable lifestyle is getting more and more important. But at the same time, these consumers actually are not willing to change their personal behavior. And they think that brands, the advertisers, are responsible to drive sustainability, to solve the challenge around sustainability. I think, not sure if you need to click, but this shows quite a challenge, or
carry on.
Okay, this shows the challenge we are focusing in the future. So our consumers, they want us to solve the problem, but they are not willing to change their behavior. At the same time, they want the brands, the advertisers, to solve the problem. And they are more critical. They are more aware about greenwashing. So this shows that we have to take the challenge very serious to solve problems, to be aware about what our consumers want us to do, invest into sustainable communication, sustainable media, because otherwise we are facing a really deep problem with our consumers.
Okay, thank you. Anja?
Yeah, happy to share some insights into the brand perspective, because we heard that, consumers want the responsibility at the brand side. And I think the very interesting question is whether brands want to be perceived as environmentally conscious, or are they really taking actions? Mm-hmm. And I'm quite a data-driven person, so I got some data with me from Science-Based Targets. It's a website that everyone can visit, and they basically list every company and financial institutions that have set targets or are committed to setting the targets to reduce different carbon emissions. There's scope 1, scope 3, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. And all of these targets can be viewed on that website per brand. So it's quite an interesting insight if you want to understand what your brand or customer set as a target. So globally, there are over 7,500 companies who committed towards a goal. And I looked at the number in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and that's more than 700 companies who are also included in that statistic. So they set a goal, but I think the interesting part will be, after setting the goal, what is going to happen afterwards? Like, what actions are being taken? And to come back to your initial questions on the media plan and whether sustainability can have a place in there, I'm more than confident that there is like a win-win situation for brands when they kind of embark the journey towards a more sustainable buying. There's so many factors you can do already that would help your campaign performance, but also help your sustainability efforts. For example, media quality is something that every campaign can include. There are factors like brand safety, viewability, and others where you can optimize towards high quality impressions and save low quality impressions where you don't have any added value for your campaign. Every ad that wasn't in view might not have a value, and we can save the carbon emissions that was caused by that impression as well. So that's what I mean with a win-win scenario where really clients can kind of do both things. But I do think that there's like a certain extent to where that's possible, and then it's going to be the question like how much performance or how much cost at the end of the day I might want to trade off for a more sustainable approach.
Okay. Daniela, you have something to add?
Yes, I would like to add something. So compared to what we have done in the past within the digital media universe, we are at a very early stage regarding carbon emission within media. So what we see and what we expect is that there will be an industry around that topic coming up in the next future, helping us to also reduce carbon emission within our media campaigns. So I think we are very early stage, and we will have a lot of opportunities in the future, and they are not for free, of course, because everybody wants to earn money with that technology, whatever's coming up. But we must be willing to invest. Our clients must invest into the challenge. We as an agency must invest. Everybody has to invest into new technology, new solutions in order to reduce carbon emission within media. And media is one of the most areas where, most areas where emissions coming from. So it's I would say it's worse than the airplane industry.
Yes, I believe it is. I believe that is true.
Yeah, it is true. We have numbers saying that. So we produce more carbon emission than the airplane industry within 1 year. So we have a responsibility to do something and to invest into that.
Great, thank you. And just kind of continuing on from that and talking about the different media channels, as you mentioned, there are companies that are starting to look at this and to be able to look at that, difference across media channels. And actually KPMG did a study when they looked at different carbon emissions, and this was based on audience impressions and reach. Studies like this, are they starting to drive that conversation? I think the technology, as you say, will follow. But from a sort of offline study, is that becoming part of the discussion with your media clients? And when they're looking at the different media channels? Daniela.
Yeah, it's always a topic with our clients, with bigger clients more than with smaller clients, to be honest. And we still have the challenge that depending on the technology you're using, the methodology you're using, the channels have a different impact on carbon emission. Mm-hmm. So we need to be careful comparing results because the methodologies are quite different still. But what we see is that the focus on reducing carbon emission within the media planes are getting more important. Still, our clients running campaigns, or they have business KPIs, and that's why they are investing into media. They want to achieve revenue. They want to increase sales, for example, and they translate these business KPIs into media campaign KPIs. And for example, clicks, impressions, click-through rates, whatever. And these are the main KPIs we are optimizing against. But different KPIs are getting more important, like sustainability KPIs. And these are not the main KPIs within the media campaigns, but they are getting more and more important for our clients. But they would never say, this is my most important KPI, and that's the reason why I'm running media campaigns. The reason is still generating business.
Yeah.
And you have to balance both. You have to find a solution generating good business revenues, and at the same time decreasing the carbon emission within the channels. And there you have to find the best mix in your media plan. And it's not about including or excluding channels. It's more making the channels more sustainable. It's more sustainable. Yeah. And choosing the right media mix for the client. And it's always different.
I think mixed media modeling's, on the rise. Björn, anything to add? I mean, obviously, out of home is looking in quite a good position there.
Yeah, seems like, right? Okay, but no, seriously, I mean, there are a lot of studies like this outside. I think like they are, you know better, 5 or 6 of them, right? And they are all looking more or less the same. It's always like that out of home and radio is very good, and everything that is related to paper, a lot of streaming, a lot of sending requests, and it's worse. So. But I totally agree. I mean, from a client perspective, from an agency perspective, it's not only about radio or digital out of home. Yeah, I mean, these clients want to achieve different targets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, selling things, selling products, reaching KPIs, everything. So, but of course, there's a responsibility to test around a little bit and to try to find an optimized way to reach that specific goal, by shifting media spends from A to B. And that's what I have not seen in the past, to be honest. I think there's a big responsibility, especially, of course, for clients, if they taken this topic seriously, for service providers, for agencies, and for us to do our work and to try that, and to produce cases, to be honest. It's very, very obvious, like, okay, it's going to work.
Yeah, okay. Anja, from the ad tech side, what are the challenges and opportunities that from a tech perspective we can do or advertisers and agencies can do to incorporate more energy efficient solutions into their campaigns?
Yeah, so I think taking one step back and also from that analysis, I think the very first step into the actions that can be made is the measurement piece, right? You have to start with understanding what are the impacting factors for my CO2 emissions. And then the media channel can be one dimension within that, but there's so many other factors like the format, the device itself, but then also the way that the ad was bought. Also plays a part into the CO2 that came with it. So understanding where my CO2 came from is the very first step. And then the second step based on that is everything you can measure, you can optimize. So then you can understand which kind of factors do I need to tweak in order to get from a status A from CO2 emissions to status B where it's being reduced. So one of the challenges is, in my point of view, where to start, right? There's so much you can do, but there are several studies that show that supply path optimization is the biggest influence in terms of causing CO2 emissions. And supply path, it's the same as, when I order a cheeseburger in a restaurant and I don't want the cheeseburger to travel from the kitchen like 3 times around the world and then going to my plate. I want it like directly. And it's the same thing with advertising. I don't want we request an ad for our brand and I don't want it to be, resold into different pipes. And that's for some supply path, the case, it's quite inefficient. And I want the ad to be shown directly. And this is exactly what supply path optimization does. It's cutting out resellers that don't have a value. And we as a demand side platform, we support initiatives for our clients to provide transparency on resellers. We support initiative for transparency in the industry like ads.txt, sellers.json. But also we launched an initiative which is called Open Path. And it's basically enabling publishers to integrate with our buying platform directly and thus being more efficient in the supply path. It doesn't mean we will manage yield in any way for supply partners, but it's just a direct way, the same as my cheeseburger coming from the kitchen to my plate directly, the ad can be bought directly and cutting out like more inefficient supply path within that.
Great, thank you. Anything else to add on this, or? I know we're conscious of time as well. So if we were to look at the bigger picture and some sustainability, either initiatives or collaborations, what have you seen that's either, you know, a best practice or at least something to aspire to? Daniela?
I brought a case. So I think case studies are always very helpful to explore what's possible and what not. So we had a client who briefed us using big formats, display ads, and running a campaign, a digital campaign, keeping the campaign KPIs like viewability and CTR rate stable compared to the campaigns before, and at the same time optimizing against sustainability KPIs. And what we have seen, and this is a quite good example, I would say, that combining both is possible. So you can optimize against sustainability KPIs, reducing carbon emission within a campaign, and at the same time even increasing relevant campaign KPIs. So we set up 2 tactics within the campaign. One of that was using adaptive streaming. Mm-hmm. And the other one was implementing Scope 3 data into our ad server, ad form technology, and optimizing against good placements. So using these both tactics, we achieved very, I would say, impressive results. And now I have to read. we increased or we reduced our carbon emission by 64%. Wow. And at the same time, we increased the CTR rate by 70% and the viewability rate by 52%. And I think these are very impressive KPIs showing that optimizing both is possible. And it doesn't mean that reducing carbon emission means at the same time generating better, not better, worse campaign KPIs. So both is possible within one campaign, but I wouldn't be so keen to say it's standard. It was that campaign, but we need to test in order to see if it's always the case.
Great, thank you. Anja, and then I'm coming to you after.
Yeah, maybe to build on what Daniela said, there are pilot cases and I think they show success. But for me personally, I think there needs to be another call to action to really start the journey with more advertisers and really think about what we can do already in order to measure and then also reduce carbon emissions. And I think Daniela touched on that before, in parallel to what we can do as tech partners, but also advertisers, agencies and publishers. I think there's also like an industry initiatives that needs to define standards and benchmarks and do more education on that topic. For example, the IRB Tech Lab Sustainability Working Group is working towards more education and collateral and benchmarks. So I think that's also an industry conversation to have in order to make sure there is a standard to be measured, and then we can all kind of compare apples to apples within the different dimensions that contribute towards carbon emissions.
Fantastic, thank you. And Björn?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of very, very good messages today by using auto formula, that is very, very climate friendly first. The second is, it's 100% brand safe, and it's not fraudulent, so, and of course we have some cases regarding ESG as well. A very, very easy setup is the case of Lichtblick in Germany. They have chosen screens where the ratio of carbon emission and and on base of 1,000 net impression, it's very, very low. It's a very easy setup. But there are some cases for digital out of home, for example, from Belgium. They advertised, I think it was a Renault model, electrified, right? So, and they only delivered ads in the commuting time when they measured the pollution because of traffic jam is very high, for example. Yeah, so we have seen that as well. And by the way, I think end of last year, the FAW together with Björn, which is I think is its strategic agency of OMD, right? So they have produced 3 cases. Studies, saying what they compared is they shifted in all 3 cases TV media spend to digital out of home. So, and they measured the 3 brand KPIs. The first was brand awareness, and second was consideration, and third was purchase intent. And they checked, okay, what happens with the carbon emissions? So, and they've done that for, I think, for 3 years, shifting 20% TV budget to digital out of home. And what they measured is that for all of these 9 brand KPIs, they have been stable or improved by reduced carbon emission, like really a lot. Yeah. So there's it. You can go to the FAW website. It's sitting on the website there. They've done that. So, and we need those kinds of cases within one media category, for example, only in online media, to compare what's the best way to handle my inner media category campaigns and to reduce carbon emission. And of course, we need to test by shifting media budget as well. Doesn't matter if we are incentivized by any media category or not.
Okay. Well, thank you to all my panelists. We've actually run out of time. We did have more questions, but thank you very much for being here. I think what we have hopefully shown you today is that it is possible to take steps to be more environmentally friendly without compromising on your performance goals or your campaign goals. You know, it's about commitment from the brands and all the way through to the buying. So thank you so much to Anja, to Björn, to Daniela, and thank you to the audience. You know, we hope that you take note of what you've heard here today. And if you have any questions, we're up at in the main foyer by the main stage. So yeah, welcome all of the questions. Thank you.